Isn't it fantastic? It is indeed the dress of the year 2000, chosen for us by Lisa Armstrong from the Times, and famously worn by Jlo. And indeed, it was the dress which, it was the complete and utter talk of everywhere at that time. I can remember seeing photographs, hearing information, because she wore it to the Emmys, and I think it was in February 2000. And suddenly it was I can't even remember a dress being talked about so much, and it was an absolute wowzer. And we've now heard that indeed this was the dress that launched Google Images. Isn't that fantastic? And we have a version here actually in the Fashion Museum.
Yeah, we must point out that this dress has never been worn by Jlo, which might disappoint some of the male visitors, but it is an exact replica, copy, I don't know what you call them.
Well, to my mind, this may well have been the dress that was worn on the catwalk. So actually at the original show, when the dress was originally shown. And the model was Amber Valletta, one of the it models, the absolute leading models at that time. So although I don't definitely know it, what I do definitely know is that this dress was gifted to the Fashion Museum, to us here in Bath, by the House of Versace in 2000. I think that it's got a tiny weeny little hole on the hem, which in my curator's mind then makes me think, oh, I'm sure it was worn on the catwalk. So I've almost got as far as thinking, you know, this was an original piece, absolutely in the show, worn by Amber Valletta, which is kind of second best, I reckon, to Jlo.
The hole caused by her catching her stiletto in it.
I'm sure it is, because the other great thing, of course, about the display here at the Fashion Museum is that we have the pair of matching jewelled mules that were originally, little sort of slip-on shoes, that were originally worn with the dress, and they are terribly high, they're terribly glittery, and they've got not spiky heels, but they've got high heels, the kind of thing that you would put through, you might, if you had the opportunity to wear it, through a dress of this nature. And I think I should say a little bit more actually about the dress, because the dress is really special. In terms of, you know, cultural history, it's the Jlo dress. But when you start looking at it as a dress, it is really clever. And I think it's clever for two principal reasons. One, it is so risque, so alarming. You think, how on earth would anybody ever wear it and get away with it? But it's actually based on a halter neck swimsuit. So it's not a pair of sort of separate pair of pants and then nothing and a couple of bits of toupee tape at the top. It actually is a whole halter neck swimsuit on which this sort of diaphanous, beautiful dress is then crafted and created. And that gives to me, I think that leads me to the second thing, which I think is so special about this dress. The fabric from which it's made. It's a very lightweight, soft silk chiffon, but it is printed in the most exquisitely beautiful colours. It's grades of different green going into blues, and then you actually look at the textile design, and it's almost like sort of palm leaf fronds. So it's a very sort of leafy design. So, okay, I'm standing here saying it's a leaf design in greens and blues, but when you come to the museum and you actually look at the dress, you can see that one man's blue, or a blue isn't just a blue, a green isn't just a green, it's different shades of it. And in the same way, a way that a textile designer would draw a leaf isn't, there's not one way of drawing a leaf. And I think that to me is the enduring, or, it's part of the enduring, it's not appeal, but strength of this fantastic dress, which was chosen for us here at the Fashion Museum as the dress of the year 2000.
We just must make the point that is a tradition that continues, because very recently this year's Dress of the Year has been unveiled.
Yes, absolutely. The Dress of the Year scheme started when we came to Bath in 1963, and the way that it works is that each year we ask a leading fashion commentator to choose the outfit from the international collections that they think is the most directional, exciting, sums up a moment, has caught their eye. And that dress is then donated to us, so it becomes part of our permanent collection. So we've got over 50 years, sequential years worth of Dress of the Year. And yes, indeed, we're a bit like the Oscars. We work in retrospect, and we've just announced and just unveiled the Dress of the Year 2014, which is an extraordinary well, it's very different from the Jlo dress, because this is a dress that is made entirely of plastic sheeting. And I have to say, it is so inventive and so clever. It's by a designer called Gareth Pugh, a British designer who's currently celebrating, I think it's 10 years in the industry. And it was chosen for us by Katie Grand, who is the editor-in-chief of Love magazine and one of this country's leading fashion stylists. And Gareth has created an ensemble which is, I think it's got about 4 or 5 different layers. So there's a tube dress, then there's a very loose cut coat. Then there's another coat, all of which is tied with an obi belt. And it's all made out of the kind of plastic sheeting that you or I might use to do our decorating, to put down as a dust sheet. But the way that, I've been struggling with the way to describe this, it's essentially drape. This plastic drapes like the most beautiful fabric that other fashion designers would use, particularly thinking about the cowl neck. And it stands up and creates these beautiful folds in a way that I guess only plastic can. But in a sense, it's masquerading as the most costly, most expensive type of fabric. And doesn't just show you the richness and diversity of contemporary fashion design, which we can see here at the Fashion Museum in Bath through the Dress of the Year collection.